You're listening to the Save the Marriage podcast. Your marriage can be saved and strengthened if you have the right information. Join Dr. Lee Baucom as he explores ways for you to improve your relationship and your life, starting right now.
Hey, this is Lee Baucom, and today I want to cover what I think is going to be an ever-growing kind of danger to relationships, to marriage in particular. One that is not going away anytime soon, and that is the whole topic of AI, artificial intelligence. Because what I keep hearing is people who are using AI as a way of trying to fix their marriage, and they end up worse. They end up often divorced. And so, as I've heard from people over and over, I began to think about why that is. Because we're not going to escape the reality of AI anymore. It is everywhere. It has been for a long time, but is now even more present in your life. And we've got to come to terms with what that means for relationships, what that means for personal growth, what that means in our life. It's not anything we can get away from. Now, let me be clear. AI can do lots of things. If you want AI to explain or to code or to help you do research, it is great. It is something I use to shortcut my way to understanding concepts and put together things. So that's great if that's how you use AI. But more and more, I hear from people who are caught up in the chats with AI and are using it in ways in which AI was never intended. In fact, artificial intelligence companies will tell you don't use it for this. It has its limits. And this is especially true outside of the capacities. When you're outside of the capacities for which AI is designed, yeah, it will try to help you. In fact, we're going to talk about why that in and of itself is an issue. But AI will not say, hey, I'm not built for that. It dives right in to try to help you because AI is always helpful. And so part of what I see repeatedly is people misusing AI. They're acting like it could be their therapist, their coach. It can help them find their way to a happy relationship. That is not the intention of AI. In fact, there are a number of issues with AI that will come in to cause problems for you. And that's what I want to talk about today. Now, if you don't know me, I am a real person, right? I am a real person who has spent the last over 3 decades, so long before there was even much on the internet, but certainly long before AI. I was in the trenches helping people to save their marriage. And what I realized is a lot of the approaches that were out there, in fact, a lot of what AI often mirrors, was not helpful for people trying to save their relationships. In fact, many times they were doing the exact opposite of what they needed to be working on. And so I've spent a lot of time finding out what actually works, and I use that as a frame to understand why AI is not going to get you there. And I think this will be helpful for you, especially if you are a user of artificial intelligence, the chats particularly, and there are any number of them. So I'm not picking on any one. You may have your favorite, but I can tell you that all of them have the same shortcomings, at least right now. So first, let's be clear. AI says, I am not your therapist. The companies behind AI say, don't use this as a therapist or as a coach. And be careful using it for any professional services. You know, a lot of people are trying to use it for legal services, and sometimes that has not ended well for them. So be aware of that. One of the very front problems is many people find themselves really connecting with their chat. In fact, over the past 6 months, I counted, I've had 10 people tell me. So that means that a lot more have not told me this, but 10 people have told me that their spouse is leaving them because they have basically fallen in love with the chat. Now, let me be very clear. If you are falling in love with the chat of AI, you're in many ways falling in love with yourself. Because it mirrors you. It's a reflection. It amplifies. I'll talk about that in just a few minutes, but I just want to kind of put that out there that many people, it's not even just that AI leads them down the wrong road, it's that they become enamored with their AI chat to the point that they have fallen in love, and I would say they're infatuated with that chat, and really they're infatuated with their own thoughts. And the whole mental health community has become more and more concerned with how many people have been led astray down dangerous paths to having very dark endings because of AI. And it's not because of AI itself, but because of the misuse of AI and the limits of AI. So, let's talk a little bit about how many times people are using AI to try to save their marriage. One of the very frequent ones I hear is that they use AI to analyze the arguments they're having. And so they're using that as a way of saying, I said this, they said this, I said this, they said this. What should I now say? What should I do with that? And so first, right off the bat, I want to note that AI is reading what you're giving it. And you're probably not giving it the exact words from either of you, the intonations from each of you, the facial expressions, the body language, all of the pieces that go into a real life conversation. AI doesn't have access to that. They have access to your memory or your spouse's memory of the words that were said, of how that went on. And so they're already building the database, the conversation based on just that. Some people are using AI to process themselves, to kind of chat back and forth and try to, in their own mind, make sense of things. And that seems, for many people, that seems like that would be a really good use. Except for there's a problem. AI is not an objective coach, therapist, helper. AI is not objective. It's coded in for it not to be objective. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute, why it's so seductive. Some people treat it like a pseudo-therapist. And the same problems that come out in therapy often come out with AI. AI is not designed to be a therapist. It is not designed to be able to give you the information you need. And here's the thing that gets people. It can feel like it does at first. It can feel like it gets you, right? In fact, that is the design of AI, to get you. And to get you talking, and to get a process going with you. That's part of why AI becomes so seductive for people. First, AI is always on. Your spouse may not always be available to you, but you can pull a phone out, and as long as you've got internet service, or you can go on your computer, or you can go on your tablet, and as long as you have internet service, and data allowed with AI, you can have a chat. That's not always true with the spouse. Maybe they're at work. Maybe they're tied up with the kids. Maybe they're out doing something, shopping, or doing something for the house. But people, by the limits of being human, are not always on. AI is always on unless they've got a problem and, back in their servers. AI is always on and waiting for you to chat. That is seductive if you're feeling like you're disconnected and you're looking for that connection. So that's the first problem. It's always on. Therefore, it's always available. Now, that's a strength and a problem. It's a strength if you want to go look up something in the middle of the night, you've got this idea in your head. Chat can go look and tell you the research on it. But it's always there, and you can also use that instead of chatting with a spouse. The second thing is AI is never defensive. Now, I've tested this many times. I'll go, hey, I don't like how you did this, or I don't like how you described that. Oh, okay. And it goes and fixes it. It's like this assistant that never gets upset with you for you asking to do it again, differently, adding things on, doesn't get defensive if you say something. In fact, I tested it out. What do you think about AI and marriage? And AI was like, oh, yeah, that could be a problem, right? It's not defensive. That's because it's programmed to not be defensive. Humans don't have that capacity. Third thing is it seems to understand you. We'll talk about why in just a minute, but that's a big piece. And when you feel like you're misunderstood, when you feel like you're disconnected in a relationship, the fact that this thing seems to understand you. Now, let me give a rough analogy for people. This is one of the reasons that people end up in emotional and even physical affairs. It seems like this person gets you, right? You feel gotten, and that is a seductive feeling. But part of in a new relationship, that's part of what happens in a new relationship. That's the connection that we build in a new relationship. In AI, it's just part of the programming. We'll talk about that in a minute. The other problem with AI is it's safe. It's safe. It can be very vulnerable for you to be, dealing with something difficult with a spouse. That's scary. It can be very vulnerable when there's a big conversation you need to have with a spouse. That can be scary. AI is happy to hear it. So it's safe. Safe. I didn't say helpful. I said safe. It's not going to confront you. It's not going to challenge you. It's not going to remind you of what you said last week or last month or last year or anything else, right? And so it's safe. Now, why is that true? Well, this is one of the big problems. It's the mirror effect of AI. The mirror effect. AI does a couple of things. One, it confirms what you tell it. And if you can try this out, you can give it some information and it'll go, oh, that is so astute of you. How wise of you. And so it gives you a confirmation of what you're giving it. That's wired into AI. That's how they keep you connected. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying there is a problem with that in relationships. So it confirms what you're bringing to it. And sometimes we're not even clear with ourselves what we're bringing to it, right? We're just putting the stuff in and it confirms that. Not only does it confirm that, it validates your perspective. Confirms what you're saying and gives you the stamp of approval that you're right. How wise of you, how smart of you, how astute of you. It gives you that. Not only that, but it amplifies it. And this is a real problem. It doesn't just take your information as fact and give that back to you. It amplifies the information you're giving it. Which is where we get to the problem of having scripts in our relationship. The scripts. So what happens with a script? That's where we have a problem. Because the scripting you do in an argument is you trying to get advice on how to win the argument. That's why you do that. It's like preparing for a debate. You go off and you get some advice and you talk about that because you're trying to win. And the problem with trying to win is you are no longer in a conversation. You're trying to win. You're no longer in an exchange. You're trying to win. And so what it does is it builds a case for you. It helps you to build a case for how you can proceed forward. And often that ends up being building a case for divorce. And this is where it really gets interesting because AI looks objective. That's built into it. You think it's being objective, but it isn't. It's the mirror. It's not objective. What a marriage needs is connection. Working on real connection. Not with AI, but with a real person. It needs connection between you and your spouse. It needs understanding. You're trying to understand each other so that you can move forward. Not win the debate, but understand each other. And it needs teamwork. It needs you to stand together and work together as a team to come together. And AI is not designed to help you with that. So if you've been using AI to try to get some marriage advice, I have one word of advice. Stop. It is not getting you what you need. If you do need help, though, I've been doing this for well over 3 decades. There are other places to get help. I'm just saying not in AI. If you want my help, come visit me at SaveTheMarriage.com. That's SaveTheMarriage.com. And this is Lee Baucom wishing you the best as you work to save your marriage in real life.
You've been listening to Save the Marriage podcast. For more information and help, please visit us at SaveTheMarriage.com.